Welcome to On the Couch, a regular catch-up where we discuss and solve some of the problems facing marketing world today. And today I'm joined by Digital Brief Director Russell Easther. Welcome, Russell.
Thanks, Darren. It's a pleasure to be here.
Look, I'm glad you could join me on the couch because it's your area, Digital Brief, and the training that you're offering is really interesting to me because digital marketing and digital media is such a dynamic area. I'm just wondering, how can marketers keep up to date with the changes that are occurring?
There's actually lots of ways marketers can keep up to date, and just trying to figure out how to go about keeping up to date is actually exhausting for the number of ways you can learn about it.
Yeah, one of my concerns is that the trade press, which should be a source of independent knowledge, seem to be obsessed about the latest gadget, because I know artificial intelligence and virtual reality are the big issues, but they don't really get into covering the sort of more day-to-day issues that marketers should be aware of. So, where are the sources of that information from your perspective?
Correct. There's a lot of strategic thinking in digital marketing and strategic fundamentals that we don't see in play a lot when dealing with all sides of the fence, marketers, publishers and media agencies. And without it, you're actually exposed for chasing after the next bright, shiny object that you read about in trade press. And press is never really independent, so I think you might need to change your attitude on that one. Mm-hmm. But the challenge is that if you don't have a good understanding of strategic fundamentals in digital marketing, when you look at something new like Snapchat or like a drone or geo something, whatever, if you can't tie that back to some strategic principles, all you can really do is analyze it in its isolation. If you have that strategic and what we like to call a T-shaped marketing approach, where you know a little bit about a lot of things and maybe one or two depths, right? If you don't have the top of the T, it's very, very hard when something new comes along to figure out where it fits in the grand scheme of things. It's a really dangerous situation to be in. We know this, and to be honest, 95% of our briefs in training are about the top of the T. A lot of our clients don't know it until we highlight it, but when we do highlight it, they go, oh yeah, that makes total sense. For us to make a strategic decision on something, we need to know where it fits in the grand scheme of things.
That's a good point, but it's interesting because the conversations you and I have had previously at Digital Brief, most of your customers are coming from media owners and publishers and agencies, but not as much from marketers. What do you think is driving this?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of self-interest from publishers and agencies to keep up to speed with digital, and maybe a lack of complacency from marketers who maybe don't have to move as fast in some certain sectors as digital rises in importance. If you think about the publishing landscape first, how important are digital channels for traditional media businesses? Incredibly important as people put down papers, start looking at pick up tablets, they start listening to radio online, etc., etc. So they're actually in all three audiences that we have. They're the ones that need to move with the times as fast as possible and learn how to sell advertising and other marketing options on top of it. So we get a lot of demand there. In terms of agencies, they see the opportunity to stay ahead of the ball in front of the marketers, because if they don't, where's the value that they add to the marketers? So they're busy producing products and services to service the marketers, who are probably the slower group of all three to get upskilled.
But isn't this a danger? Because you've got these sellers are going to be highly informed or are highly informed, and the buyers are actually behind the game because they're not as informed about the options and the strategic importance.
100%. And I'm still amazed as to how little work we do with marketing managers in comparison to the amount of work we do with publishers and agencies. It's quite remarkable.
Do you think some of this could be driven by the fact that, I've noticed myself that marketers are very hesitant to put up their hand and say, I don't know, for fear of revealing how little they know? Is it sort of, in some ways, ego or fear that's holding them back?
Yeah, there's a couple of different levels. There's a couple of ways to answer this question, and I see definitely two different levels. So over the years, we've trained lots and lots, hundreds, if not low thousands of people in the marketing media industry. 95% of those people are in junior to mid-level roles. And the senior decision makers say, my people need to know about this. Sometimes I say to them, I think you need to know about this too. And I get all sorts of mixed reactions when I say this. Sometimes the more senior people actually need it more than the juniors because they're making really big decisions on budget and really big decisions outside of the marketing silo on digital. So maybe some senior folks in digital, in marketing, aren't prepared to come to a workshop, or are maybe a little bit embarrassed to say, you know what, I actually don't know much about digital, and they're not really keen to learn more. But the young guys, or younger guys and girls, are very keen to learn more. So you've got this really interesting situation where sometimes the more junior people in an organisation in marketing are very keen and eager to figure out the next thing on Snapchat, where the CMO at the very top is thinking, what's Snapchat? Right? And where does that, and how do I even know where that fits in the grand scheme of things?
But my concern is that without going and getting some, sort of accredited or formal or well-structured training, a lot of these senior marketers are picking up the one of many gurus out there, the person that hangs up the shingle that says, I'm a social media guru or a digital guru.
Just a few of those in the industry.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. And, that they're taking the advice from that one person. All of their knowledge about all of the aspects of digital marketing is coming from that one source. How do you protect yourself against a situation where you're getting misadvised by a guru?
Well, I'll make the analogy to the real estate industry. If you're going to buy a piece of property for the first time ever, you absolutely need to know strategically why on earth you're doing this and who the main players are and what's in it for every single party. So you'll never ever just speak to one person or get one piece of strategic advice when it comes to real estate. You'll research yourself and you'll get educated, and then you'll make a strategic decision after consulting a number of different people. Unfortunately, in digital, some people are getting their advice from one person who only have one particular thing to sell. And that's probably not the best way to get your advice.
Actually, to continue your metaphor there, it's pretty much like getting your advice from the real estate agent selling you the house.
Yes, absolutely. Where really, you probably need to broaden your scope a bit and understand, why on earth do I need a house first? And what's the long-term goal for all of this? And I'll go back to the T, but that's why we focus a lot on connecting the dots so that you can evaluate the house purchase in that analogy.
So looking forward, what do you think are the biggest challenges at the moment for marketers in this area of digital and digital training?
So it really kind of depends on what level the marketer is and what sort of sector they come through. There's actually lots of different challenges. So maybe which sort of sector or what level should we look at first?
I'm more concerned about the senior marketers, and I know the term is not digital natives. What's the other?
Digital laggards, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. So, because that's the group that often have the most influence, but are often working from the lowest area of knowledge. So where should they be going? What are the obstacles for them that you can recommend ways around?
Sure. So we talk about this a lot in media sales, and it talks about reading the person, not necessarily the marketing or media play that's happening. So these senior decision makers are often a little older than others in the industry, and they probably didn't grow up writing university assignments on a computer and probably were handwriting it. So in other words, they're definitely not digital natives. Some of them need to actually understand how this thing works. For example, Snapchat. 33% of Australians, 33 people who use social media in Australia are on Snapchat according to recent research.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
Yeah. How many CMOs have Snapchat? Now, I'm not saying they need to be massive publishers in it, but they need to be at least exposed in it. So that's level one. How does a consumer use a particular channel? Number two, how do businesses actually use that? So take Snapchat as an example. What are the commercial applications of that for my business or brand? Now we're talking a little bit of business strategy. Then, how does that fit in to my specific situation? If you don't understand the bottom, you're never ever going to be able to figure it out strategically where it fits in with your business, because you don't understand how the channel works. So we talk about having natural curiosity when it comes to digital. And Darren, I know you have this. Other people in your generation industry probably don't.
I actually get a lot of criticism because I'm so curious.
Over the years, I know you show me some weird and wonderful things on your phone, and that's great. But to be honest, a lot of CMOs at your of your generation, your digich, probably don't have that, and they need to just quickly address that. Now, you can address that in a lot of different ways, but one of the most low cost and fast ways of doing this is reverse mentoring, where they get a junior into their office and say, my kids are talking about Snapchat, you're probably talking about Snapchat, can you please show me how this works? And then get a slightly more senior marketer in to say, okay, I've heard a lot about this Snapchat business. Where does that fit in with our strategy? And then suddenly you've got, after half an hour, you can now get you through a barbecue conversation and a strategic marketing meeting with Snapchat.
Look, that's a great idea. I hadn't actually heard of reverse mentoring. Russ, thanks for your time and thanks for joining me on the couch.
No worries.
And stay tuned and subscribe to the Trinity P3 YouTube channel for more on the couch coming soon. Thank you.